Welcome back to 2KOA Podcast. I'm Payton, and this is my brother Paige. We're sisters 2,000 miles away from one another, and we discuss murder and the macabre. Uh, we do have some business to get to.
Some really awesome business.
Hello, Germany!
Hello.
Thank you for welcoming us. We just have the one listener now, but soon. soon. And still, again, thank you to our French listener. Still, you're awesome. We love you.
Really sticking with us, and we love it.
Yes.
There's lots in the U.S. as well, like literally spread across the U.S., which still is baffling to us. But let's be real, out of the country, nobody knows us. So therefore, you're just experiencing this and apparently like it enough to listen to the next one. So
I know.
it's
Also,
just baffling to us.
Along with Germany and France. Hello, Canada.
Yes.
Specifically, Ontario. We love you.
Love you.
We love you, and we're so excited. And again, thank you to all of our friends and family that have kind of started us out and kind of made it start branching off. So
Yes.
thank you, everybody. So our last episode, which was Catacombs, Coffins, and Bones, oh my, which was uploaded on the
3rd.
Yep, 3rd. I forgot today is the 3rd.
That's today.
Yeah, we're also recording. We record on Tuesday, which is the spookiest day of the week. So, also the first visual that we finally were able to get around to is now out on YouTube. We're also really excited about that, and so far we've gotten a few comments that are like, "Oh, yay, finally." So, we're going to try and continue that.
I've been getting a lot of they love your facial expressions on some of the stuff that I was talking about.
So now with my episode, you have to do the same energy.
I will attempt that.
Yes. A few things about the YouTube videos because this is a podcast. It's a audio platform. I'm going to spend most of the time editing on the audio for the podcast platforms. That's what I'm basically going to spend most of my time on because it's kind of a one-man show over here. I do all the editing. I do all the editing myself.
Because I know none of it.
Yeah, because Paige is
worthless.
Absolutely worthless. So she's just here as comic relief. So I do all the editing myself. So the YouTube videos, I'm not going to make them sound as pretty as I do with the podcast.
Because you see our pretty faces.
Obviously, and that's all you need.
That's anyway. The gift that you need.
Exactly. So they're gonna sound a little bit rougher. You'll hear Paige's stupid throat clears, which she does every 5 minutes.
I'm trying to get better at remembering about that.
I'm trying to get better at remembering, not clearing my throat into the mic. I'm just trying to get better about remembering. Okay, honey. So it, like I said, it's gonna sound a little bit rougher. You'll hear some bumps. You'll hear me drinking my coffee and licking it off my fingers when I spill it. Which is something that I did last week.
Kind of like when you were little and in the car, in your car seat, licking your hand. And when our mom was like, Payton, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just, I'm all clean. Yay.
Hey, man, I didn't have a napkin to wipe my hand off. And it was either my clothes, my bed, or the couch. So I chose my mouth. So, yeah, I know. So that was all the business that we had. We're just super excited to keep going. And today is a me episode.
Payton.
And I'm going to,
not
me
Paige,
episode.
Me.
Today's a Payton episode. There we go. That's what we're
for those of you that are just listening. You're welcome.
Yes. Shut up. So today is a Payton episode, and I'm going to be talking about the Whaley House in San Diego. So it's not murder today. It's a little bit of spooky haunts, with a gruesome history to the home. So I wanted to do the Whaley House today because, like everything with COVID, all the museums are struggling. So I wanted to do the Whaley House. I think they're doing like virtual tours and stuff like that. They have a lot of cool stuff on their website, and I'll leave the link to it in the show notes. So the Whaley House, again, is in San Diego, is said to be the most haunted house in America.
I would love to go.
Yes, it is. It is now a museum. It tells about the family, the history of the home, a little bit about San Diego at the time. So it's a fun little place. And eventually, when it opens back up, because it's only 2 hours away from me, I'm definitely going to be going and getting my own pictures. But
So exciting.
yes, but we will see when and if everywhere is able to open. So, fuck COVID. Anyway, so start back. Thomas Whaley was born October 5th, 1823, in New York, I believe, Long Island. Fun fact, this has nothing to do with anything, but this is just a fun fact. His great grandfather, Alexander Whaley, a gunsmith, participated in the Boston Tea Party and Revolutionary War, where he provided muskets for soldiers and the use of his house on Long Island by someone by the name of General George Washington. You may have heard of him.
I think so.
Yes, the family had other businesses that I won't really bother going into, but it kind of paved the way for Thomas to be the businessman that he became.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so no big deal. Grandpa just helped George Washington, with
That one guy with the white
right,
hair.
with all them red coats. Anyway, so Thomas left New York on January 1st, 1849, and arrived in San Francisco sometime in July. He left, it was the gold rush.
Yeah.
So he arrived sometime in July and opened up a few more stores where he'd sell like hardware, woodwork. He still had his fingers in businesses with, the family businesses in New York. And he also had other, places on the same street. They were in cahoots with miners, and they like rented out equipment, whatever.
So it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so he became pretty established there, but unfortunately, an arson set fire destroyed his buildings in May of 1851.
So,
I
so
didn't.
he moved there when? What year?
He moved there in 1849.
Oh, so just a couple years after he moved there, all of his buildings burnt?
Yes, and that's kind of the theme with poor Thomas Whaley,
Huh.
to where he establishes a business, it's going well, and then it all goes tits up for many reasons. So he ended up relocating to Old Town San Diego, where he then set up businesses with other merchants and businessmen in the area, and then ended up traveling back to New York to marry his sweetheart, Anna Eloise Lene, on May 14th, 1853. So fun fact about Anna, this goes back with immigration and shit like that, but Anna's family was actually from France, and they traveled over here. They had a different last name, and I don't quite remember what it was, but of course they had to change it when they got here.
Basically Americanize it before Americanizing things became a thing.
Yeah, so I read that and I was like, so anyway, because that just, it infuriates me. So Thomas purchased the land where the Whaley House stands on September of 1855 because he had previously been to this property. He bought it for a steal. Why? Because it was previously a gallows.
Oh. Not where I thought you were going to go with that. I'm not sure where. Just wasn't. I didn't think it was there. But I mean, kind of cool.
Yeah. So he bought the land. He bought the land real cheap.
Yeah.
So it was a gallows
for like $1. Because it was back then.
I don't have the amount, but I'm sure it was somewhere like that. So anyway, so now we're going back. 1852. Yankee Jim Robinson arrived in San Diego. Yankee Jim Robinson.
Oh, Yankee. Okay.
Yeah. So now he's known as Yankee Jim. So
And you can't say it any other way
You
other
can't.
than Yankee Jam.
Yankee Jim. I don't know why. So Yankee Jim was immediately disruptive. He was an infamous thief in San Diego. Within the same year of him arriving, he got caught. I think it was like trying to steal a boat or something. I don't remember. I read it and I was like, you know what? It doesn't even matter because the people were sick of him. So they tried him, convicted him, and sentenced him to hang just for being a thief. Which
Oh,
I think is a little harsh.
slightly,
so,
yeah.
so
I mean,
yeah.
I could think if they wanted to, like, I don't know, chop off his fingers or something, like you're being a thief, so you're not like, gonna steal anymore. They're just like, no, you're not gonna live anymore
Yeah,
because you keep stealing things.
right. So it's said that the average man in the county around that time stood around 5'5". Wow, Yankee Jam stood at 6'4".
Oh,
So this made me do a little bit
giant.
of yes. So this made me do a little bit of a deep dive. So before 1850, the standard way of hanging people was called the short drop. It was the standard
Yeah.
method where the condemned are placed on a raised support like a stool, a cart, ladder, wagon, etc. And
What they had available.
yes, and the support is moved away and then it leaves the person hanging. Around 1866, they started using what we know now, what you see in movies, stuff like that, as the standard drop, which involves a drop between 4 to 6 feet. This was considered a humane improvement to the short hangings because it was intended to be enough to snap the person's neck and cause immediate unconsciousness and rapid brain death. So the
Mhm.
goal was to, instead of letting them hang there and suffer, to kill them immediately. It was humane, you know.
Finger
Yeah,
quotes.
yeah, hanging a rope around someone's head is real humane. But anyway,
Right.
so again, this made me do a little deep dive into the history of hanging, which was a fun read. so so actually and now, well, not now because hangings aren't really a thing anymore. So then it got me into a little bit more of a deep dive, but now like between that time and then I think it was like around 1900, I'm not quite sure when, but then what is called the long drop, which was actually they did calculations of like weight, height, and the length of the gallows to like really scientifically kill them.
Ah, yeah. So it was like customized.
Yes,
You're customizable
right. It's a
noose and
tailor.
gallows.
Yes, it's a tailor fit gallows, but that's not why we're here today. It's just a little the long drop is just, a little fun. I
That's
like I
another
said,
episode.
yeah, like I said, I went into a tad bit of a deep dive on hanging, and it was actually really interesting. So, unfortunately for Yankee Jam, his gallows were barely taller than he was because this was 19, not Jesus. This was 1852 and the standard drop hadn't been really thought of until 1866. So
Hmm.
poor Yankee Jim, because of his height, was a little rough. So
Basically suffocated.
they
You're
put him
getting
on.
there.
Yes, stop interrupting me.
Sorry.
So they put him on a wagon. They put a rope around his neck. Then they moved the wagon out from under him. Because of his height, his boots were scraping along the ground, like nearly on his tiptoes, being
Oh.
choked and strangled for 45 minutes before he was
Oh.
pronounced dead.
Poor Yankee Jam.
Yes, so it was real rough. And if you hear him meow, that's Paige's cat.
Oh,
So
can you
anyway,
hear him?
he's so loud.
He's
It's fine.
ridiculous.
It's fine. Um, so Thomas was there and he witnessed this hanging, which is how he knew about the property. Yes. So in 1852, Thomas witnessed
Oh,
a pretty gruesome hanging and then years later was like, "You know what? This is a steal." So naturally, he thought this was
I
a
want to
great
build my home here.
right. So naturally, he was like, "This is a great place to build a house," which is what he did. So,
I mean,
yeah. So, the Whaley House was the first brick home in San Diego.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was said like the designs are really cool, and I could go into detail about it, but I won't because it's more about, you know, the story. But the Whaley House, it was really fancy at the time. It was like one of the biggest houses again at the time. Now it's like, oh, it's not that big, but then it was like, wow, this is
Well, it's
a
because
mansion.
he got the land for such a steal. He could spend more and do
Yes.
more stuff to the house.
Yes. So apparently Thomas was a major skeptic, and he was like, oh, ghosts aren't real. You know, he said that he would often see apparitions while the home was being built.
Oh, cool.
Did you hear that dog?
Is that what that was?
Yep. Anyway,
All right.
yeah, and just kind of aside, I do apologize. Neither one of us are in soundproof rooms, and my
Nope.
living situation is so horribly problematic. There's a cop car literally outside of my window and an ambulance somewhere around here. So it's
Neither are for you, but you know.
yeah, so it's a oh yeah. I'm not getting arrested and I'm not going to the hospital, but just letting you know why there's so much excess noise sometimes. So I really apologize about that. I try and edit most of this stupid shit out of the podcast, but unfortunately sometimes I can't get all of it, especially if we're talking over it. Through the early years, the house was used as the county courthouse, and this is early when it was like just after it was built. It was used as the county courthouse, San Diego's first commercial theater, and meeting rooms for the county board of supervisors and record storage.
So all while it was Thomas's house,
Mm-hmm.
it was used for all of those things?
Mm-hmm.
Why though? Why was there no other buildings in San Diego?
Well, this
I
is
mean,
this is before San Diego was really, the town that it is now. It
well,
was
yeah,
it
but
was
you would
old
think,
town, so there's not really a ton of stuff there.
eh,
So, and he was prominent in the community as well, which is
well, I
another
guess
reason
there's
why
that.
all this stuff was at his house. So by 1858, in the San Diego home, Thomas and Anna had three children: Francis, Anna Amelia, and Thomas. So little Thomas passed away after only 18 months.
Hmm.
In August of 1858, another arson set fire destroyed some of their businesses, and that with the death of their son, they moved to San Francisco. They were like, screw
Oh.
this. And Anna always said that the house was cursed from the moment they moved in.
Well, I mean, you started out on the side of the gallows.
I know. And they
It's
were,
not a
and,
great beginning.
yeah, and Thomas was like, this is a great place to raise my children.
And
So
it's
anyway,
almost like the whole Indian burial ground type of deal.
kind of.
Bad juju.
So his ventures in San Francisco, I won't go into, but while living in San Francisco, I think they lived there for like 10 years, a little over 10 years.
Okay.
They had three more children: George, Violet, and Corinne. And she was also, I think it was like Corinne Lillian. So sometimes she's named as Lillian, but I'll refer to her as Corinne because. um, so after a major earthquake in May of 1868, Thomas, Anna, and the five children moved back to San Diego. So there was a lot of communal goings on at the Whaley House. So there was still, at the time, there was still record storage from San Diego, a lot of whatever. So,
Did they move back into the same house?
mm-hmm. I think they owned it this entire time.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they just kept it as a little.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know their reasons. I wasn't there. So there was still a bunch of stuff. I won't really go into it, and I didn't really take much. I know about this, but I didn't really go into it. So Thomas was a figure, kind of a political figure in San Diego at the time, and there was some disagreement on his beliefs, and then the people that were trying to do up and coming stuff with San Diego. It's a long story that I won't get into, but there was a raid on their house in March of 1871 where a group of men held Anna at gunpoint on the
Ooh.
stairs to steal back the records that were upstairs. And
Mm.
now there's supposedly like you feel a sense of dread on the stairs,
Mm.
supposedly. So from 1874 to 1879, Thomas supposedly went to New York to settle his father's estate. I say supposedly because his father died in 1832, and then this is like 40 years later. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
not
won't
just a
go into it.
couple years or a couple months even. 40,
Yeah.
40
Hmm.
years later is when he settled his estate.
Yeah. So supposedly, who knows? I don't know. I don't
All
know.
right.
That was how it was worded on the Whaley website. So I was like, you know what? That does sound weird. So
Okay.
yeah, from there, he went to San Francisco to seek employment because, all his shit kept burning down. So while in San Francisco, the rest of the family lived like in dire straits in the Whaley house, and they were kind of dependent on the oldest boy, Francis, for support. So on January 5th, 1882, Anna Amelia, the daughter, and Violet both married. I believe it was at the house. I think they got married on the same day, which is, oh well.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, so Anna Amelia married her first cousin John Whaley
All right.
because why not, I guess. And Violet married a man named George. I'm gonna butcher this probably. Bertolacci, Bertolacci, something like that. I tried.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, George was a shitbag, and I
Oh.
don't I don't know the reasons why he was a shitbag, but I think he was just a shitbag for normal reasons. And he and Violet had a nasty divorce, which
Oh, they divorced.
they divorced. And
Oh.
yeah, this was in the 1880s. This was not happening. Divorce was
Not
not a
super
thing.
common. No,
No.
it was very frowned upon.
And because of that, Violet endured horrible humiliation from the community. People were like rude to her, they threw things at her, they called her names, all that stuff.
Because
And
people are awful.
eventually going back to people being shitbags, and eventually decided to end her life by shooting herself in the chest. She died in
Oh.
her father Thomas's arms on August 18th, 1885.
That's in at the house, I'm assuming.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yes. So after this, Thomas built another home for his family. I don't think it was that far away from the original location, and they left. They left the Whaley house. And Thomas died not much longer after that on December 14th, 1890. Afterwards, the house fell into disrepair until 1909 when Francis Whaley, the oldest son, returned and decided to restore the home. Francis turned it into kind of a history tourist attraction, and he did still reside there as well. So he actually kind of started a little museum there, but
Mm.
not like an actual museum, if that makes any sense. So Anna and the three children, Francis, George, and Corinne/Lillian, lived there. Anna passed in the home on February 24th, 1913. Francis passed in the home on November 19th, 1914. And Corinne continued to live in the home until her death in 1953. I don't know if she died in the home, but she lived
So
there till the 50s. Yeah,
uh, basically, the children never left home.
kind of.
Okay,
I think
that's not
a few of them did leave, but almost everyone in the Whaley family died at that
and
house.
ended up back at the house.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of like, was Francis married? I mean, that's a question. Was
I don't
his
know.
wife there? I mean,
I don't know.
that was all. That's all kind of like, okay, everybody's still living at home.
It kind of. I don't think you've watched The Haunting of Hill House.
I did not.
It kind of reminds me of The Haunting of Hill House, where there's like this house is cursed, and the house loves this family, and the family just keeps ending up at this house. And oh my God, it's so bad. Kind of reminds me of the Haunting of Hill House, but whatever.
Mm.
So after Corinne's death in 1953, the
And
house
she was the
fell.
last one.
Yes, she was the last one. It fell into disrepair again until the home officially opened as a museum in 1960. Again, apparently Anna always thought it was cursed. It's said that soon after they moved into their newly built home, they would hear heavy footsteps around the house. Thomas said that they sounded like they were boots of a large man. So immediately,
it's Yanka Jim.
yeah, immediately they were like, "Oh my God, it's Yanka Jim." So that's kind of been a thing from the very start. So many visitors of the museum have reported seeing Thomas Whaley himself. June Reading, a former curator of the museum who is now passed, said, quote, "We had a little girl, perhaps 5 or 6 years old, who waved to a man she said was standing in the parlor. We couldn't see him, but often children's sensitivity is greater than adults." End
I
quote.
was about to say, kids can see more things than adults can.
Yeah, which is why
Kids are creepy that
no
way.
thanks. Yeah. I know. So people have reported seeing Thomas's apparition, usually on the upper landing. One person said he was clad in frock coat and pantaloons. The face turned away from her so she could not make it out. Suddenly it faded away. Also, I
Pantaloons.
love the word pantaloons.
Pantaloons.
I love it so much. I want to call all my pants pantaloons.
Well, are they like the specific pants though? Are they the ones with like the weird big thighs? No, that's like
are you talking about Nazi pants?
no. I feel like that's maybe older than the 1800s, so never mind.
I think you're thinking of George Washington in the 1700s.
Yeah.
You're thinking of that. That's
I
what
am.
you're thinking.
I totally am. So it's older than that, so never mind.
Anyway. Anna Whaley has also been reported, usually in the downstairs rooms or in the garden. Apparently, with Anna, you will also hear piano music, just like a disembodied piano, and you will smell lavender perfume, which was Anna's choice
signature
scent. Yes, that was Anna's signature scent.
Ooh.
Yes. So Regis Philbin saw Anna Whaley. He said, and it's quoted, "All of a sudden, I noticed something on the wall. There was something filmy white. It looked like an apparition of some kind. I got so excited I couldn't restrain myself. I flipped on the flashlight, and nothing was there but a portrait of Anna Whaley." So I
like how he says, "I got so excited," instead of people being like, "Oh my gosh, I was so freaked out. It was so weird." No, he's like, "I got so excited. I want to see her. I want to shine
well,
the
I mean,
flashlight on
hey,
her."
it may have been excited, like he was like, "Oh, scared." I don't know, but that's just what the quote says. So Regis
That's awesome.
Philbin had a little experience there. May he rest in peace.
Aw.
Yeah, there's also a woman seen in the old courtroom of the house. People have described her like to a T, like, oh, she's got a little hat, she's got this skirt, she's got these kind of shoes, she's in a patterned shirt, all that good stuff.
Wow.
There's also said sometimes people will say that they hear a baby crying.
Oh.
It's believed to be baby Thomas, supposedly.
Okay.
I find, you know what? Poltergeist activity, all sorts of the activity, I will take all of it. But if there's a baby crying,
no, thank you. I'm out.
Fuck that, man.
I'm done, and I will just leave because
yeah. First of all,
no, thank you.
I'm not a kid person. I'm not a baby person. I'm not a person. But anyway. Especially the fact that I don't have children. I will not be having children. If I hear a baby crying in my house at any time of day, I'm leaving it.
Same.
So,
Same.
if I hear like a man talking, if I hear a woman screaming, if I hear a banshee, guess what? I'm staying put. But if I hear a baby crying,
that is a completely different level of scared.
Different
And
energy. Different
done.
energy right there. I am done. I'm packing my bags.
Done.
Burning the house. Anyway, so there's also a presence of a young girl who is usually found in the dining room, like a little girl, like a child. So people hear little footsteps and giggling. Also, a child giggling is also horrifying to me.
Oh, so bad. No, yeah, seriously. If I'm hearing like big footsteps, that's one thing. Because, I mean, we've experienced that in the house we've lived in, a couple houses.
Mm-hmm.
But little footprints, if it's not my dog's, then no.
Again, burning down the house. So urban legend has it that this is the ghost of a playmate of the Whaley children who accidentally broke her neck on a low-hanging clothesline in the backyard, whose name was either Annabelle or Carrie Washburn.
Oh
Now,
my gosh.
that being said, though, there are no historic records of any child dying this way at the Whaley House or a family named Washburn residing in San Diego at this time that she was said to have lived. So they're thinking that maybe it was a former employee who kind of started this weird little rumor to try and get like people to come in. But regardless of the story where it may have came from, you do hear a child on occasion.
Yeah, but isn't it true too though that they say that like demons and
Demons
stuff
can imitate children?
imitate
Yes.
children?
Yes. Which is why I'm burning down my house.
I don't know if it's just
because fuck that.
Yeah, seriously. So I don't know if it's just because I'm thinking of that if I'm hearing a little kid or little footprints or laughter or a baby crying,
Even
or
if
if it's
it's a
just that
normal
I
child.
think kids are creepy. And I want no part of it.
I think it's a little bit of both. Because I feel the same way. Even if there's a normal, alive child in my home laughing, burning down the house. Anyway. I'm packing up and leaving. The child can have the house, but I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my nose is running. So anyway, a parapsychologist. So it's not just humans. A parapsychologist reported he saw a fox terrier-like dog. Huh.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like it's not just humans witnessing this. I was like, because psychologists aren't humans.
No. Anyway.
They're a totally different breed.
Yes.
Okay.
So a parapsychologist reported he saw a fox terrier-like dog running around the hall with his ears flapping.
Oh.
It's also said that every so often you feel a dog lick or hump your leg. I read that in another source, so I'm like, I don't know.
If it's one thing if you feel a dog licking your leg, but then if you feel it humping your leg, that is hilarious. I don't even know what I would do.
First of all, it's awkward enough when a real dog humps your leg, but if a dead dog humps my leg, I don't know what to do.
I don't know.
Honestly, I would feel better if a dead dog humped my leg than a dead child laughing in my house.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
I would much rather deal with a dead dog. So, that being said, the Whaleys owned a terrier named Dolly Varden.
Dolly Varden.
Yes. So,
where did Varden come from? That's strange. Either way. Oh.
Yes. So there is a little bit of merit to the dead dog humping people. Oh. So the tour guides wear period dress costumes, which I love.
Fun.
Yes. Many of them have said that as they change into their period dress, I think they usually like change on like the second floor of the home, they often hear a man clear his throat while they're changing. So maybe he's like, I don't look at that. Like, that's kind of what it made me think of, like Thomas being like, excuse me, you're not supposed to do that in here. I'm in this room. That's what it made me think of. So again,
that's actually really funny.
Yes. So Violet is also seen too. Violet, the daughter who committed suicide after her divorce, on the second floor, where she's seen on the second floor where she spent most of her time after her divorce.
Mm.
So it's said that the areas where people sense her presence will often become really cold. Also, some people who walk up or down the stairs, which is the agreed upon location of the original gallows, they end up with a red mark across their necks. It's just like a tiny, thin little red line.
Ooh.
It doesn't hurt, and often people, often it goes unnoticed until someone actually like, hey,
Sees it.
Yeah, what's that red mark?
That
So
wouldn't work on me because my neck and my chest gets red.
No, I know.
Anything. So
plus, I mean, I don't think I would notice that on anybody because I don't pay attention
right
to anyone. Anyway, a girl actually ran out of the house in a panic while visiting after her boyfriend noticed the thin red line. Which,
oh,
I mean, I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. But
a little excessive.
Yeah. I'm like,
but then again, we were like, if you have a weak constitution, don't go to the
yeah,
using the
and I
tub.
mean, like, I told my roommate after she said that she got touched and cried. I was just like, yeah, the first time's kind of weird, and she's like, the first time. Yeah, that's a story for another day. But she cried and I laughed. Anyway, so oftentimes people see an apparition out of a window on the second floor after the building is closed.
Oh, that's so creepy. The weird people in the windows
like, watching you in the window.
Uh-huh.
Screw that. Still wouldn't burn down my house just if the child's laughing. But anyway, or crying. It just makes my skin crawl.
It's just not good.
So I also have a little note to tell, like a police story. So I heard in another podcast, this has been discussed in other podcasts. This has been on a ton. The Whaley House has been on a ton of different shows. It was on Ghost Adventures.
Oh.
It was, yeah, they came to it because, Yankee Jim was harming people with his red line. But anyway, because that's why they go to places like, these ghosts are harming people.
And we're here to stop them.
Of course, I still watch it. But anyway.
Obviously.
Yeah. So I heard on another podcast that there was something happened to where an alarm got tripped in the house. And apparently that happens quite often. Is that the ghost will set off the security system.
Mm.
So it's not really that big of a deal. I think this was like not too long after it had closed for the night. So the police officer showed up. The worker who was working who was working like the closing shift or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he took the guy's statement and, was getting ready to leave. And he goes, oh, and I also have to take the woman in the house. Like, I have to take her statement too. And the worker was like, so I'm the only one here.
Oh no.
I guess he saw one of the Whaley family in the window in the house, because he even mentioned he was like, yeah, the woman like in the costume, like the period dress.
Oh man.
I know. Yeah, so that's fun.
I actually got chills. And I love these kind of stories, and I actually got a chill with the weird goosebumps and everything.
I know, because I think in that situation I would be like, no.
No, you're like fucking with me, right?
Right. I was just like, no, I saw someone. And
she's like got the brown hair to here.
Right, like describe her. And then he's like, no, she's dead. And I'm like, what?
Like, you killed her just now? Or
that would honestly probably where my mind went. I'd be like, oh, so he murdered somebody.
So I need to call some backup
right? Right, like go over to my little like thing and be like, requesting backup. I mean, definitely. But yeah, so that's fun. So you can look up the Whaley House on YouTube, wherever you get your creepy shows. It's definitely going to be on a haunted show, because again, it's said to be the most haunted place in America. So
yeah, I'd love to go.
Yeah. So, well, I mean,
at some point when I come out to visit.
Well, yeah. Again, San Diego's literally 2 hours away from me. we literally took a day trip there the other day just to hang out not very long ago. So I really wish it were open so I could go. But
Yeah. Because a virtual tour is really cool to just see the house and see the
yeah,
history of the house. Like that would be really neat. But you gotta
yeah.
experience that stuff
Oh yeah.
yourself.
And like I said, the reason why I wanted to do this because I had a big old case that I was planning. However, I wanted to get to this because again, right now, like everyone is struggling due to, because of COVID, everything sucks right now, unfortunately. And museums, like little museums like this that are privately owned, they're all struggling pretty bad right now because they can't open, they can't make any money, unfortunately. So the Whaley House, I do believe they do have virtual tours of the house. I think you can still get like a little guided tour of the home, and I think you can talk with tour guides and stuff like that, which is really fun.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah.
I
So,
might do that.
oh yeah, I think I will too. On payday. So, and I don't even think it's really that much because I think a ticket to go visit the house, I think is like, I think around like $10 or something like that. It's not
Oh.
even that much. Yeah. So, yeah. So I wanted to go ahead and do this just to give a little support to a little place that needs it, that needs our support right now. So thank you for joining me on this journey to the Whaley House.
Ugh. Thank you for giving me chills. That never happens. Like legitimately, I don't get chills ever. Like for stuff like that.
See, I don't either. Where like, oh, you tell me a scary story. Because I'm dead inside. I never get chills.
Uh-uh.
I know
No,
that's definitely
I
something that you'd be like, oh, ooh.
yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I just never get chills for like anything. You know how people are like, oh, when she was saying I got chills, or ooh, creepy story, I get chills. I'm like, see, I don't.
Because
Yeah,
we're
seeing
not
him in the
scared of
window
anything except laughing children.
and just crying children,
Oh yeah.
screaming babies.
Screw that. Yeah, screaming, crying, they talk, they're sticky. I don't like any of
Yeah.
it. So, thank you to everyone that has decided to join us this week for the Whaley House. Like I said, I'll leave
A link.
yes, Jesus. I'll leave a link in the description of the podcasts and even when we post about it on social media as well. I'm going to leave a link to the Whaley House website. They have a lot of good information. I got a lot of this info from their website and, of course, from other, like, oh, spooky ghost places as well. So, thank you all for joining us this week on 2K Away. If you want to stay updated with the podcast, feel free to follow us on Facebook at
2K away.
On Instagram at 2K Away Podcast. And we also have a YouTube channel, and hopefully I will do these visuals as well because why not? So anyway, and like I said, the YouTube videos are going to be a tad bit rougher, but feel free to enjoy, all that good stuff. And anyway, so I
And
will, yes.
if you've been to the Whaley House and have your own experiences there, we would love to hear about it.
Yes.
Love to hear about it.
If you've been to the Whaley House, I want to hear your stories.
Yes.
Share with us, DM us. I would love to do like something where people tell us their creepy stories and then we read them. That would be super fun. So maybe eventually we'll get an email for our podcast. Maybe.
Eventually.
Because I don't want to give people my personal email.
Nope.
But anyway, or my phone number. Because I don't like talking to anybody. But anyway, so I promise we will eventually have a theme song. I promise I'm working on it. I'm trying. But this shit takes up a lot of my time, so I promise it's coming.
And because I do no part of the editing.
None of it.
She has to do all of it by herself.
I'm telling you, it's a one-man show. Paige shows up every other week with a little story, and that's all she does.
I have some cool ass stories, so
Well, get ready, because we gonna have a lot of good stuff coming. And I'm so excited. Oh, my next one is a doozy.
I gotta think about what my next one's gonna be. Well, next week I know what it's gonna be. We already recorded that, but
Right.
my
Yeah.
next
So
one after that.
yeah, so we did this a little out of sync. We recorded the next week's podcast before this recording because my mouth was all jacked up. It's been rough, man. It's been real rough.
You'll hear about it next episode.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you the whole story. But anyway, so thank you all for joining us. We will see you in the next episode. We love you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.